All right, I think we are alive and running here. Let me check my slides. Looks like they're operating. And we are recording. Awesome. Well, once again, welcome everyone to Summit Alliance Advantage Tuesday training. We work hard to make sure that agents that partner with us are equipped with the knowledge, the education, just everything that they need to give them the confidence to go out there and sit down with their clients. Some agents will come into the business and, they lack that aggressiveness or just being fired up about the business because of the uncertainty. They're not sure about what to do or what step to take. And, we work real hard to make sure that you know exactly what to do. You know exactly how to work with your clients. You know how to do the marketing. You know how to get in front of your clients. You know how to generate the clients. And then once you're there, you know how to handle the client. You know what to do, how to address that need. Because all of our clients, they have different needs. And, and that's why we focused on the specific markets, because that's going to allow us to direct these clients to that specific need. And, along with the training and the education, again, we want to make sure that you're equipped, because when you can sit down with the client and they can look to you with full confidence of knowing, okay, this person knows what they're doing. Because many of you have heard me say this, and I will continue to always say it because I've experienced it, but clients buy the agent. They don't buy the carrier that you're selling. They're not worried about the company that you're with. They're worried about that this person that's at my kitchen table has my best interest at heart, and they're going to be able to make sure that this fits in my budget. And we absolutely can do that. We have access to all the carriers. We have access to all of the products. We have access to all of the tools and the training to make sure that when you sit down with your client, that you can lead them through the process, that you can do what's best for their family. And when I'm working with my clients, that's what I want to do. I want to sit down. I want to work with them, and I want to provide the coverage for them that I would provide for my own family. If that were my mom or my father or whoever, my family, loved ones, cousins, whatever, in-laws, even so, I would still, make sure and do what's best for my family. So that's what I'm going to do for my clients, because we're not just one closing and one sale close and that's it. You're not just getting the close and it stops there. You're building client relationships for life. When you sit down with your clients and you leave the home, you want your clients to look at you as the insurance professional. You want your clients to look at you as the person to go to. And in order for them to do that, just as it says here, you have to be fired up about your business. People want to work with someone that's confident about it, that's excited about what they're doing. When you sit down with your clients and you're excited about finding a solution to their need or to their problem, they're excited too, right? Would we not all agree that, if you sit down with someone and you're listening, a lot of people think selling is all talking. In fact, there's a lot of listening involved. If you're listening to your client and you're identifying their need and you come up with a great solution and it fits in their budget, you've done a great service for them. You're the hero of the day, and you should be fired up about that. You should, BJ says this often, when the business, you can be in the business, right? You can be in the insurance business, and that's fine. You can make a decent living. But when the insurance business gets inside of you because of what we do, what we provide for families, the security, the protection, to be able to set up people's financial future, to be able to protect their retirement, all of the different ways that we can support families through insurance. That should excite you. And so when the business gets, in you, you should be excited about it. I remember I've had situations where, I've had clients that have called me. We've satisfied death claims. I've had situations where clients have called me, Jason, did my husband get this insurance with you? I found your business card here. Well, no, ma'am, he didn't. He's still in the process of deciding to make sure it fits in the boat, whatever the case may be. Oh my gosh, he's passed away. I'm so sorry. That hits home with me. So next time I sit down with the client, I'm not as easily going to leave the kitchen table without making sure that they're taken care of, without making sure that I identified the need or what they were looking for to make sure that I don't get that phone call again. That's not a great phone call to get. It's not a good phone call to get when you have to satisfy a death claim. But at the same time, you know that you've provided a service to that family. You put them in a better financial situation than they would have been if you would have never sat down at that kitchen table and led them through the process. That should mean a lot to what you do. And it does to me. I know I have, we talk about all the thousands of clients that I've had, that I've written. That's for a reason, because I build clients for life. Right now, I rarely do I need to get leads, because I have clients call me left and right that I have to schedule to work with, from just building up my own book of business. And, that's how you become a professional. That's how you become fired up about your business. That's how you get excited. The little statement there, it says, don't just be involved, be committed. I'm sure most of you had breakfast this morning, right? And some of you may have heard this, but if you had, some of whatever you had for breakfast, but some of us may have had bacon and eggs, right? And you sit there, you look at your breakfast, and you ask yourself, okay, I got the bacon and eggs here now. Who was involved and who was committed in this breakfast? The chicken was obviously involved because it gave you the eggs for your breakfast, but the pig is committed, right? Because it's on the plate. So, think about that. So, it's kind of funny, but, are you involved or are you committed? You need to be committed to your business. And so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to bring up someone to continue the phenomenal training about being fired up about your business, to just highlight some of the things that you can do, to really excel and be fired up about your business. Because in the insurance business, we are changing lives on a daily basis. You're changing the lives of the clients that you sit down with. You're changing the lives of your family, and you're changing your own life. So, this is a life-changing business. So get fired up about it and do that. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and bring up none other than Mr. Ray McDonald. So Ray, pass along the mic.
Good morning. How you guys doing? Hey, we're broadcasting live here, so just come on in. Are you, huh? Who are you here for? Summit? All right. Yeah, we'll take care of that. Anyway, so hey guys, so we're broadcasting live as well. So the thing here is get fired up about your business. So in my 24 years in doing this business, I learned a lot, and one thing I learned about this business is about you got to be fired up about it. Jason was talking about or talking about BJ talking about the longest distance for anybody to travel is from your head to your heart, right? Bring it from here to your head and bringing it down those 18 inches down to your heart. Once it's in here, then everything changes. I promise you that, I guarantee you that. And what helps with that change? First of all, getting paid, right? Right? When you get paid, it becomes real, right? So, let's call it what it is. We're all here to get paid. We're not here for a hobby. We're not here to make friends. And this is not a social club. We're here to run a business, and we're here to get paid, right? I'm going to call it what it is, right? So, we love everybody, and but you love everybody more when they're making money, right? Especially on your team, and they're making money, you're going to love them more, right? So you have somebody on your team who's always nagging all the time, but they're not making any money. Well, it's kind of hard to love that person, right? But that person's nagging, but they're making money for you every day. Well, you're going to make time for that person. You're going to be on the phone like, hey, man, what's going on? They're your new best friend, right? So the thing is about your business is so important is you got to be fired up about your business. You got to be fired up about your business. So a couple of things here, and this is very, very true things here, right? So you don't want to show up, you're right, you want to get fired up, right? You don't want, in order for your business to blow up, you got to show up, right? So if you want your business to blow up, you got to show up. So how do you get your business to blow up? Well, you got to show up. So the guys who are locally, which I appreciate you guys here being locally, you guys are online here. Some of you guys, we got an excuse. I know some of you guys can't make it here. But other ones who can make it here, it's important to show up. Because when you do show up, your business does blow up. Because the time that we're here interacting, we're done here, we can visit more, talk more. There's more about getting your business going on. So one of the things that really helped me in my business, in my career, was the fact that I had to learn things, right? How to learn things. The first thing was up here, right? The longest distance of travel from our head to our heart, right? The 18 inches. So I had to learn some things, okay? And once I learned these things and they traveled from my head to my heart, then they became important things. So the first thing is, what is your daily rituals, right? Will you guys agree with me that we need some type of daily ritual? I think that's important, right? You think that like LeBron James and those guys, you know, every athlete, they have a daily ritual. Absolutely they do. Okay, any professional, anybody who's at the top of their game, they have a daily ritual. For example, I get up in the morning at, you know, say 5:30 in the morning. I get up every morning at 5:30. All right. So I get up in the morning. I beat the sun up. Right. So I kind of make me feel good a little bit. I'll beat the sun up. But during that time, what I do is I take a time before anybody else in the house gets up. I'm there. I'm reading. Right. I'm reading. You know, I spend time. You know, I do some journaling. I write. I read books that's going to empower me. I read books that are going to motivate me. I read books that are going to inspire me. I read books about my industry. I read books about personal development. You know, I read the Bible. I read different things that is going to improve me, right? Because, you know, that's why I don't watch a lot of TV. I don't watch a lot of stuff. I don't listen to a lot of garbage. There's garbage in and garbage out, right? So, you know, I do the reverse, right? I put all the good stuff in, so the good stuff will come out. You know, so would you agree with me? The more good you put in, the you know, good stuff will happen. So if you're doing a daily ritual of all good things, sooner or later, what's going to happen? Good things are going to happen, right? So part of my daily ritual is exactly that: get up and make things happen. You know, I beat the sun up every morning. Okay, that's the thing. I want to beat the sun up. You know, you're not going to beat me, right? I'm going to beat you, right? I beat the sun up. I start reading. I start writing. I start doing the things that I need to do to empower myself, to empower my mindset, my focus, and then I have my goals. Okay, so my part of my daily ritual is, you know, and BJ does, and we'll all do it here. You know, you go to our desk, we have a list of everything we're going to accomplish that day. Everything. If you don't write down what you're going to accomplish that day, then how do you know what to accomplish that day? Right? Very simple, right? Very simple. But like I always say, the things are easy to do, but also things are easy not to do. So it's easy because a lot of people, if you don't write stuff down, like for me, okay, I talk about my daily ritual, right? If I'm not reading, then my day is off. Okay, if I don't have my goals written out for that day, I'm kind of just flying by the seat of my pants, right? I really had no structure for the day. But if I have my list and I'm crossing things out, you ever have a list and you cross things out? How do you feel once you cross those things out? You feel accomplished, right? If you feel accomplished, then how does it make you feel? You feel accomplished, what does that give you? Confidence, right? You feel accomplished, and you're confident. Well, now you kind of walk in with a different swagger, different kind of attitude, right? Again, little things are not that big deal. So the question you want to ask yourself is, what is your daily routine? Okay? Because we're in this business to make what? To make money. Okay? So many people out there don't have a daily ritual. They don't have their goals. They don't write stuff down every single day, and they wonder why they're broke. The successful people, I'm talking about the athletes and all the people, they're doing the same thing every single day. They have a daily routine, a daily ritual. So what is your daily ritual? You know, how do you seize the day every day? You know, again, me personally, I read. Okay, I always say, if you're going to be a leader, you better be a reader, right? Because when you read books, what happens? You feed your mind, right? You feed your mind. You learn things. You pick things up. You get ideas. You get inspired. You get motivated. It changes everything. It changes your mindset. So this business, would you agree with me in this business? Okay, we're in sales, right? So sales is a transfer of what? Emotions, right? What are emotions? Feelings, right? Feelings. So when you, okay, so how can you get feelings? Okay, you get feelings by, you know, experiencing something, right? Reading something that will inspire you, does that make you feel something? So when you're able to read something that's going to inspire you, they're able to motivate you, to excite you. Okay, then now we're able to, now when you're Because remember, you just don't show up. You got. In order for your business to blow up, you got to show up, right? So you show up. You got to be around like-minded people who are reading like-minded things, who are doing like-minded things. That's going to get your mind right. And when your mind's right, you start to feel right. When you feel right, then you transfer the emotions. And now when you're talking to your clients, there's a certain kind of attitude now that you have. A certain kind of, cockiness, if you not cockiness, but, confidence. You have a certain kind of confidence now, right? So what I do is I'm reading every day. I'm listening to podcasts every day. I don't listen to the radio. I don't listen to music. I really don't listen to the news. I do every now and then, but I hate putting on the news because it sucks me in. The TV sucks me in, period. I'm like the fly that, the little blue light, the bug light, That's the TV's the bug light, and I'm the bug. Turn the TV on, walk down the hallway. I go to the light. Right? Stay away from the light. Stay away from the light. Right? Because that's negative for me. I got to be around. Plus, I'm always reading. I'm always listening. And I got my podcast on. I'm listening to different speakers, different trainers, different motivation stuff. I'm always feeding my mind. Then why? Because I'm a professional at what I do. So you need to take this business too and be a professional at what you do. Because guys, look, knowing that this business will transform your life, knowing that you can make as much money as you want to make. For me, from a kid from El Paso, Texas, was hardly any education, no college. I barely got out of high school. I got a pat on the back, kind of an E for effort kind of thing, right? Out of high school, and I went out there and I was able to make more money in a month than a doctor makes in a year. Can I, how did I do that? It's because the industry did it for me. This industry. So my belief on this industry is so powerful and so strong, you can't tell me anything different. That's why I said earlier, once you start making money, right, it's kind of hard to change your conviction, right? Once you get paid. But how do you get paid? By learning the business. How do you get paid? By showing up, right? Showing up, being around like-minded people. Seize the day. Are you disciplined daily? Discipline. Again, every athlete, every professional business person that is successful, anybody that has success in their life, you think they're disciplined? Absolutely. You'd be surprised how many people come into the business, they see the money right here. We are in a $34 trillion industry, the largest industry in the world. You think people are making money in this industry? They have to be, right? If it's the largest industry in the world, they have to be making money. But you'd be surprised how many people come in and they don't make squat. But they don't do anything, right? They're the hog, in Jason's analogy, right? They're committed. We're not the hog. What is it? The chicken. They're involved. They're involved. Lots of people come in, they get involved in the business, but they're not committed to the business. When BJ was talking, when Jason was talking about BJ, from your head to your heart. Once in your heart, you're committed. Once you're making money, you need to be committed. So you got to be disciplined. You got to be committed. You got to be obsessed with the business. Guys, I guarantee you. These guys, all of us, we're obsessed about this business. We speak to the room here of 3 people versus we speak to the room of 300 people. It doesn't matter. We speak the same way, that we're committed, right? We see the same thing because we know what's happening. We know what's going on. It's in us. You want the business to get involved with you. Now you become obsessed with the business. And now, because look, you know this is going to change your life. If you know you'll be making money in this business, and you know that, hey, I'm involved in a $34 trillion industry, is there a chance I can make money in this business? Hell yeah, there's a chance to make money in this business. You got to be in the business. You just can't show up, and we have people, we call deacons, right? They come in here and they're just deacons, man. They come here and they're great. We love them, they're making the coffee for us, they're opening the doors, man. They're helping out, man. but they're not making any money. Love the deacons, but they're not making any money. You know, so you want people on your team making money, right? So you want to be obsessed with your business. So how do you be obsessed with your business? Well, by showing up, right? By actually, you know, doing what's being asked of you to do, right? Following the system, right? Then and getting scratching off that list that you have for the day that you're doing for the day. How are you seizing the day? What are you going to do today? You know, make a list every day of what you're going to do and seize the day. Once you start scratching that stuff off, your confidence built up, like I talked about earlier, right? You know, and then now you get the confidence going on, and you got good people going on, and now you're surrounding yourself with like-minded people. Now you're recruiting, right? You're recruiting other people. You want to recruit like-minded individuals, right? You want people on your team that you recruit that are like-minded or not like-minded? Like-minded, right? Okay, so once you start recruiting people who are like-minded, so that's why when we all like to hang out, we're all like-minded individuals. We, you know, being an insurance agent, it can be a very lonely business, right? So we come in here. That's why we want you to show up so you can be around other like-minded people, so you can get fired up. You can learn things. You can talk about things. You can experience things. Because once you leave here, then you go back out in the street, then reality hits you again, right? But now when reality hits you, you're equipped. What would happen if you don't show up? That's why I always say you got to stay close to the fire, right? You got to stay close to the fire. Because I promise you, you miss one training, one meeting, all of a sudden it was very easy to miss another one. All of a sudden, I'll come back, you know. And all of a sudden, you know, it just kind of slips away. And we never see you again. You know, it's the truth. You know, 24 years in the business, as I literally worked with tens of thousands of agents. When I'm speaking to you, is truth. There's experience. I've seen it. So we're sharing here we're sharing here is the actual, you know, the fundamental steps to succeed. You want to be obsessed with your business. You want to be obsessed with your business. Look, because if you're obsessed with your business, what's going to happen? Huh? You'll be successful. Okay, so wouldn't it be great to be successful in a $34 trillion business? Okay, well, hell yeah, I'll be obsessed, right? Be obsessed. Be obsessed. Hey, I'm a $34 trillion business. You know, man, be excited the fact that, hey, I'm working with a 52-year-old company. We're not a mom and pop. Hey, we're the third largest privately owned. I say those things for a reason. So you can go out there and talk to people with confidence about who you are, what you're doing. You know, don't listen to the self-doubters and the naysayers. You know, really, don't listen to those voices in your head. Right? The voices in your head. Oh man, you can't do this, man. We talking about. You should all be starting over again. You know, you failed last time. You're going to fail again. Anybody have those voices in your head? You know, I got like 5 different voices in my head all the time, right? You know, but that's why it's important to be around like-minded people, right? That's why it's important to be reading the books that you should be reading. Be listening to the podcast, you know, listen to the recordings that will inspire you, that will motivate you. You don't want to be wasting your time on TV. I promise you, you're not making any money on TV. You're not going to make any money on TV, okay? Now, if you read a book, if you listen to the podcast that will motivate you, inspire you, incentivize you to do something, you make money doing that. You make money doing that. You know, look, we're only on here for a little while. And I tell people all the time, man, look, man, you want to be work for a season in your life. 24 years in this business, you know, I'm still hungry to learn. You know, why? Because I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed about this. You know, so the self-doubters and naysayers, the people who love us the most are the ones who are going to be the most critical of us. Man, what are you doing, man? You're selling insurance? Man, your Uncle Joe sold insurance, and he was a bum. You know, you'll be a bum like Uncle Joe, you know, or, you can be selling insurance. You know, you got to go get a real job. You know, go get a real job. And I heard that too, man. Like, man, Ray, you got to go get a job, okay? You got to get something steady. You got to get a steady paycheck. You got to go there and, you know, you got to sit in that box for 9 to 5 and earn that check, and you got to get some benefits, you know, for yourself and your family, and, you know, be steady Eddie. I don't want to be steady Eddie. Steady Eddie is not my DNA, okay? I'm an entrepreneur. Like, everybody comes in and says they're entrepreneurs, right? I mean, the people who love us the most are the most negative people that say, you know, they're saying, well, I'm telling this, Ray, because I love you, man. You know, I don't want to see you hurt yourself, right? But what happens is I show up enough times, right, and then I blow up. And then when I blow up, all my little naysayers, hey, man, Ray, that's a nice car, man. Hey, so tell me again what you're doing. Oh, what about Uncle Joe? you know, what about Uncle Joe? So, you know, so what about the time we said this and that? I mean, I can't tell you how many people in my family were just, you know, oh man, Ray, you're crazy, or another deal that you're in, or this and that, and then boom, blow up. They all came out of the woodwork. Hey man, you think I could borrow, like, you know, a little bit of money? Oh, now you want to borrow money from me? Okay, so don't listen to the self-doubters. More importantly, the negative talk in your head. When you get that negative talk in your head, you just got to get it out. As soon as, like for me, I got really good at doing, as soon as I come in my head, I get out as fast as I can. I don't let things sit in my head and rent space there. I get it out as fast as I can. Because, and what helps me do that is everything that I described to you here. It's the reading, it's the writing, it's the listening, it's the doing, it's the accomplishing, scratching off the goals for the day. You know, you want to starve the fear and feed the beast, basically. You starve the fear, you know, who's the beast? You're the beast. You want to feed the beast. How do you feed the beast? With everything I told you about. The fear, you know, what fear does, fear paralyzes people, right? We all been fearful, right? We're just, right? We all been fearful. Have you ever been paralyzed by fear? Where fear just stops you in your tracks? You know, like oh my gosh, you know, whatever it is, we're paralyzed with fear. And then once we get through the fear, we realize it wasn't as bad as we thought it was, right? So my favorite acronym for fear is false evidence appearing real, right? So the key word is false, right? It's false evidence. It's not real. You know, so I tell people all the time, you can't have fear and faith at the same time, right? You can't be in fear and have faith at the same time, right? And so, you know, so my favorite acronym for faith is for all I think happens, right? So I feed myself with the thoughts. I feed myself with the knowledge. I feed myself with the podcasts, with the books, I surround myself with like-minded people who encourage me and keep going. So I don't have the fear. I'm starving the fear. I'm starving the fear by doing those things. I'm constantly around the people that I need to be around. You know, that's why it's important to show up. Because if you don't show up, how are you going to blow up? You know, showing up, you know, is you know, it's big. I don't know how many percentage of the game, but with 90% of the game, right, you're showing up, right? You got to show up. So and feed the beast. You know, you got to be the beast in your business. You got to be committed to this business. You got to be obsessed with the business. But look, this is a 34 train business. We don't have time to play, right? You know, we're all here. You know, BJ, he's 55 years old. You think BJ has time to play? you know, but He looks good for his age, you know. A lot of vitamins. But look, guys, you know, a lot of us, you know, we're a lot of us come into this business, you know, like right now, I'm 50 years old. Okay, I want to do this, you know, till the wheels come off. You know, I want to do the wheels come off. You know why? Because I believe in it. Why? Because I know it for a fact. It's in my DNA now. I've been doing it for so long. The success is there. The reality is there. The money is there. You know, we're not here for a social club. We're here to do business. We're here to change our lives. You know, we're here to change our zip codes. We're here to change other people's lives. You know, don't let fear get in the way. Don't listen to self-doubters. You know, plan your game. Just be disciplined about your game. You need to have a daily ritual every single day and follow that ritual every single day like your life depends on it. You know why? Because your life does depend on it. Because if you're not going to do this, then what are you going to do? You better find something to do and do it. You know, for me, what attracted me to this business is the fact that this is a $34 trillion business. It's the largest industry in the world. People are making money in this business. Anybody can make money in this business. And when I go out there, I can make as much as I want to be, but I don't want to be in a box. There's someone telling me how much I'm worth, how much I'm going to get paid in a cubicle. You know, I couldn't do that. I couldn't digest that. You know, but I knew if it's going to be, it's up to me. I had to go out there and do it. Okay, so I had to go out there and treat my business like a business. Okay, if I was a CPA, I would go out there and go to workshops and seminars, right, to learn and everything about being a CPA. Or I would go to school, first of all, right? I would educate myself about being a CPA and then maintain that. I had to go to seminars and educational classes and maintain that. Guys, this is no different. You know, you guys come to training online or here in person. We come to training to get the education, to get the knowledge, to get the wisdom, to get the know-how, to get the fire, to get fired up. Hopefully, you'll see the importance, why it's important to show up to these events. You know, those guys are here locally should be here. The ones who are not here locally, and you know, appreciate the fact that you're listening online and that you're showing up about this. You know, you want to starve the fear, you want to feed the beast, you want to get fired up. So one of the things that we have here, you want to read that one?
Yeah, basically, you know, so many people let things stop them, like obstacles or problems or whatever. You know, we all have problems. We all have things to deal with, and basically obstacles cannot stop you. Problems can't stop you. Most of all, others can't stop you. You know, the naysayers, the self-doubters, right? Some people get paralyzed by that or the fear or whatever. Basically, it's only you that can stop you. So, you know, get out of your own way. Stop renting your time, you know, for money, whatever the case. You know, if you're tired of starting over, stop giving up. So many people, you know, they'll work so hard at some, you know, the story 2 feet from gold, you know, so they work so hard, they get there, they're almost there, and then they stop right before the grand prize, or right before the explosion of the business, or you know, right before that one thing that could just solidify your level of commitment in your business and your knowledge. So, you know, with that, one of the things that you can do to help kind of guide you through that, you know, this is a simple tool that we have. Weekly goal sheet. We've gone over this. We've trained on this. But this is almost like the secret sauce. You know, we don't have anyone telling us what time we need to be at work, what time that we have to do anything in our business, right? No one's giving us our schedule. Is that right? We make our own schedule because we're in business for ourselves. So this, something as simple as this can allow you to set your goals, and then you can work to get towards them. You know, we've gone over, we have training on this, but briefly, you know, you set up the weekly goals that you want to hit, your targets, if you will, and then you work that throughout the week. You keep track of that on a daily basis, and at the end of the week, you tally it up, and did you get to your goal? If not, the next week you make some adjustments, you set your goals for the next week, you follow through with them. Each day you account for those. At the end of the week, you compare, and then you can compare your week, and you can compare your progress. Again, something simple to just keep yourself accountable. And you know, again, we have so many simple tools, but, you know, real quick, just to kind of wrap up the training for today, you know, I'm going to get a little bit more thoughts from, you know, someone that I learn from every day. Y'all probably heard me say that, but I do. You know, this gentleman's been in the business, very accomplished, and has, you know, taken companies to the next level, and, you know, divisions of company. And, you know, so we're real excited to have him part of the team. We're real excited to have him share some of that knowledge to close us out today. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and bring up Mr. B.J. Chambers. Okay, guys, what we're going to talk about is about being committed. You know, oh, thank you there. You know, and what Ray was talking about, what Jason's talking about, obviously we can all agree that these are very true statements made this morning, right? You know, you just don't want to be involved. You need to be committed, like that analogy says. But the thing is, the one thing, anybody ever had a conversation with someone, you're talking to somebody you just met for the first time, and you think to yourself, man, that guy could be good at anything he does. Ever had that happen? Yeah. And what was the one thing about that person that made you think that it was their attitude? That's the most important thing, and it's so underrated, is attitude, how you think. And so going back to what Ray was saying, keeping that positive mindset, being enthusiastic. If you look at business leaders that are entrepreneurs that took a company from zero and brought it to, you know, a Fortune company like a Mark Cuban. You know, he talks about the Mavericks. You can see the passion. Even someone who's maybe not an extrovert like Bill Gates, when he talks about his company, there's a level of passion, a level of enthusiasm, and that commitment's there. And you can tell it when you talk to him. So, and I could use example after example after example, but you have to be that for your business, because we're all in business for ourselves, and so you have to have that level of enthusiasm. You know, on the other end of the spectrum, I talk to people who have, you know, they hate their jobs, and they're just sort of, you know, they can't wait till Friday. You know, they get up on Monday morning, that's the worst day of the week. For me, Monday's the best day of the week, because I'm enthusiastic about what it is that we're just at the tip of the iceberg. We got so much more to do here, and I'm excited about it. And so I know where we're going to go here. But when you wake up on Monday morning, you're thinking, gosh, I got to do this all over again. It's not going to happen. So it starts with attitude. You've got to be, how you get commitment is first, you got to be excited. You have to be enthusiastic about what it is that you're doing. If you're not, you might as well either do two things. One, find a way to get excited, or two, it ain't going to work. It ain't going to happen. Okay, so you got to be enthusiastic about what it is that you're doing. You got to be, before it's commitment, we say with this phrase here, giddy up. And I say that all the time. And what does that mean? That's just basically, I'm fired up. I'm excited, you know? And if you want to attract people who are like you. So if you want motivated individuals, you got to be motivated yourself. And like Ray was saying about daily routine, is I once heard someone say that, you know, motivation never lasts. And you're absolutely right. Neither does bathing. That's why you do it every day, right? So you have to constantly be putting yourself in places, around people, and what you're feeding your mind, so you stay that positive person. You know what you're in. You know what you want to, where you want to go, and you stay fired up. And there's going to be times where you're going to have obstacles, right? I mean, anything that's worth accomplishing, you're going to have obstacles. You're going to have people that tell you can't do it. You're going to have negative self-talk. You're going to have bad days. You're going to have a sale that you just were sure you were going to make, and you don't make it. You're going to have that one sale that you do make. By the time you get back to your office, they canceled on you. Does that happen in this business? Absolutely. Yeah, I see some hands going up here, right? But you don't let that stop you, because if you get the tip of the iceberg, right, and you see it working for you, you know, I think many of us have seen that analogy where you see the iceberg, right? That top portion you can see outside of the water, that's normally about 10% of the iceberg. What you don't see is that massive 90% under there. And that massive 90%, that's the base, that's the foundation. That's your hard work, your dedication, your discipline, your every day, day in and day out. That's your commitment. Not involvement, but commitment. And guys, one of the things, and kind of going back here, one of the things you got to have is you got to have direction. Because if you're fired up and you don't have direction, you may be running the wrong way at a faster pace. So, yeah. And I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen. So you got to be fired up, but you got to have direction. And that's what, you know, having that routine, having that weekly goal sheet. So knowing what you're going to do. So I wake up every morning fired up, but I already know what I'm going to do that day. You know, and I've got sometimes, I'll tell you, I make a to-do list, and it's literally impossible. There's not enough hours in the day that I'm going to be able to do all 13 things on this list, but I'm not bothered by that. I'm excited by that. My days fly by because I got so much going on, but I know what I'm doing. You know, and at the end of the day, sometimes I'm knocking off and leaving the office at 8, 9 o'clock at night, and I'm still rejuvenated. I'm still fired up. I'm the same way at 5:30 p.m. as I was at 8:30 when I got here. Why? Because I know what I'm doing. I know where this is going. I know the potential. I've got a plan, and I'm working it. You know, and that's how you have to be. That's what it takes. That's what giddy up means. Giddy up means I'm fired up, but I'm fired up with the right direction. I know what I want. I know how to get it, and I got to do it every single day with passion and enthusiasm. Right? Giddy up? Yeah. All right. Awesome. Well, guys, I want to thank you for attending today's training. We're going to be wrapping up now, and once again, thank you for attending the Summit Alliance Advantage Tuesday training.